All right, right into a UFC 206 breakdown time. What a card, although the interim title fight is pretty meaningless. And it was meaningless even before Anthony Pettis didn't make weight, and all the talk about how he was dying in the sauna literally is what he said, and he's going to be going back to lightweight. That's the news from it. But I guess, you know what, fights first. Holloway versus Pettis. Max Holloway is a tremendous fight. 10-fight win streak. And did get a couple of things that broke his way in terms of fighting Anthony Pettis. For one, Pettis broke his hand on the first strike he made on Holloway. At least that's what he's claiming, and it kind of looked like that. It was swelling up pretty bad already by the second round. That's what he mentioned in the post-fight press conference almost immediately. And of course, as I mentioned, Pettis didn't make weight for the first time since, I believe I have it in front of me here, the first time since Travis Lutter at UFC 67 in February of 2007. To miss weight for a UFC championship fight. So fighters miss weight, but usually not for championship fights. So a lot of things broke his way for Max Holloway, but there's a couple of things that he put on display that really kind of show his arsenal of attacking weapons, for lack of better words. I mean, for one, sweeping takedowns with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third round. He eventually finished him off at the end of that round. But he works the body. He works the body with his striking. He works the body with his legs. He uses spinning back kicks. He's got this arsenal, as I mentioned before, of different ways to hurt you, but nothing that really does an insane amount of damage until it starts to build up on itself. So in terms of Holloway coming away with this win, of course it throws another wrench in the UFC, even if Pettis won, it throws a wrench in the UFC, because it's an interim title fight. But the big point of this being, and why I say this title fight was completely meaningless, well, it stems back to McGregor, but if he can't win the belt because he missed weight, but he's still fighting to put on a show, that's good, because at least, you know, you're not, the people who bought tickets to UFC 206 aren't getting shafted, and those who buy the pay-per-view, because they expected Daniel Cormier, and then that obviously got taken off the table, and then they got an interim title fight that was obviously used for UFC strategic reasoning, because they need to sell a fight, and Conor McGregor gets his belt taken away from him, technically, 2 weeks after, at what just seemed like too appropriate of a time. I know MMA Junkie and a few other websites have already been through this. We talked about it on the platform a couple times, is that it's a meaningless interim fight. And, you know, Pettis not making weight and then breaking it just made it even more meaningless. But let's not sugarcoat anything here. Anthony Pettis hasn't been Showtime Pettis since before the Rafael Dos Anjos fight. For one, he wasn't meant to be cutting down to the featherweight division. For two, he said he's going to go back up to lightweight. He wanted to become one of the 4 guys to hold a belt in 2 different weight classes, or win a belt in 2 different weight classes, if I have that statistic correctly. And I understand why, but Pettis was not the person. And I thought that originally coming from lightweight down to featherweight, that he's used to, you know, taking a barrage of at least heavier-handed strikes, kicks, whatever it might be. The ground game might be a little more difficult. The ground and pound might be a little more wear and tear on the body, but he obviously couldn't. It's not a weight class thing for Pettis. It's simply I think the UFC's moving past Anthony Pettis' prime, and it's going to be tough to see him really string together some winning fights. And he was gifted the opportunity to have 2 belts, to win 2 belts in 2 different weight classes because of that interim fight. So, you know, Max Holloway comes with a win. I can't say enough good things about Max Holloway in that fight. Of course, everyone wants to know now, does Max Holloway get to fight Conor McGregor now because the interim? No. It's Jose Aldo has to fight Max Holloway now. And then you actually have at least what I would consider a real title fight. Because if McGregor is done with this featherweight division, and it currently seems like that, even if he doesn't come back, at least the Jose Aldo versus Max Holloway fight is a tremendous fight on paper. And we could probably see some fireworks there. The other fight I wanted to talk about, I know the Cub Swanson fight was out of this world. I haven't actually got a chance to watch that specific fight. Long, strange, random story, but I did catch Cerrone, and I wanted to talk about the chin-to-chin music that happened on that one. So, Donald Cerrone was putting on a show in the octagon, and what's so interesting about Donald Cerrone in this specific case is everything that's been going on with the Mixed Martial Arts Athletes Association, and the fact that he feels like he didn't know he was going to be a board member. He didn't know he was along for the ride. It seems like there's a lot of miscommunication going on far too early in an association that should be airtight on their communication. All besides the point, because Cerrone being one of those guys and fighting this specific weekend, the timing makes it even more interesting. Cerrone came out with using his legs to dominate. Now, he did get caught up a couple times in the second round. He was looking for takedowns early in the second round. He couldn't get that done. But just watching and then reading back just to see exactly what it was. His combos started early and strong. And that's why it kind of led to what I'm going to get to with his shin meeting Brown's chin and actually flooring him. A clean knockout. And maybe one of the best of the year. So he starts off with the low outside leg kicks, and then he starts moving up towards the head kicks. He moves down towards strong outside leg kicks, inside leg kicks. And I found it to be fascinating to watch because if you were watching his feet kind of shuffle around, he kept kind of repositioning. And Shane Faison over at Fight Tips put on his Instagram, he showed one of the videos of the knockout itself, which you can go check out. And as he points out, he resets his feet to get back into position to land that KO, to land that head kick KO right to the chin of Brown, and it simply was the knockout of the night, I'm pretty sure, and I can't imagine there being one of the better knockouts that's going to finish, top 5 best knockouts of the year, top 10 best knockouts of the year. I thought it was fascinating. So for a card that started off looking like we had Cormier versus Johnson into what would be a great Toronto, and of course Holloway and Pettis still on the card itself, and Cerrone, and it finishing as a meaningless interim title fight, and you still get a nice Cerrone head kick knockout there, and you still get Cub Swanson's fight, which again I'm not going to speak on because I did not see it, and I will not talk about what I have not seen, although I heard it was maybe fight of the year. I heard it was fight of the night for sure, and I'm excited to kind of download and watch for the most part. Other than that, that's all I got on UFC 206. I'm sure there was a ton more to it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. The least I can do is at least give you the the results from the card itself. Holloway defeats Pettis by TKO at 4:50 of the third round. Cerrone defeats Matt Brown by KO at 34 seconds left of the third round. Cub Swanson defeats Ho Choi by unanimous decision. Gavin Gastelum defeats Tim Kennedy, the Green Beret, by TKO at 2:45 of the third round. Emil Meek defeats Jordan Mean by unanimous decision. And then it gets down to some of the preliminary fights and stuff like that. But that's for the main card. Tim Kennedy was an interesting guy, too, on the card because of the Green Beret and everything that his background has to offer. But unfortunately fell to the wayside. All right, so comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. A lot of good stuff on the clip, I hope, and we'll see you on Monday.